Okay, here we go, round 2 or 3 or something. I've spent about $65 or $70 so far on this carburetor, and still no resolution. I still have a problem when I start it up and it runs for a little bit, it starts spewing out fuel. I'm going to try and adjust the carb again, see what happens. But I thought that the excess fuel spewing out of this thing like a fountain, I thought that that was because the needle and seat were, bad. So I spent $30 on eBay for a needle and seat. I have a brass float in this. Everything's adjusted correctly. I've rebuilt the fuel pump. And the last gasket is the gasket between the top of the carb and the base of the bowl. So I'm going to start it up, see if I can get this thing to run again, see what it does. Choke it a little bit.
Really see the fuel really spewing out of this thing. Raining out of there like a big vapor cloud.
Look at the fuel just pouring down through the intake. It's just pissing out where the exhaust connects to the exhaust manifold. Look at that. So much raw fuel is getting soaked down in there. Well, let's try her again. This time I've made sure that the high setting was on 1.5 turns and the low setting was on 1. I don't think that that's the problem, but we're gonna try it. I think it's worse. This is really, really frustrating. I'm not sure what I'm doing wrong here. So I don't know if the settings are correct. I said to have an 1/8 inch gap between the bottom of the front of the float and the gasket. So I took an 1/8 inch drill bit and slid it under there, and it's set. So is it possible? I guess the fuel pump has got too much pressure. I don't know. I don't think so. I'm throwing money at this, and I thought I knew what the problem was. I'm not spending any more money on this damn thing if it's going to give me this much trouble. This is ridiculous. $60 and just a couple of parts. And I'm no further ahead. That's frustrating. Wow, when I just shut it off, fuel was just pouring out of this hole. I've got fuel everywhere. I'm gonna have a fire here. I'm glad I'm outside. I just got sprayed with gas everywhere. Fuel is literally just pouring out of this hole. I've got the main jet and the high jet and the low jet over here shut off completely. It's just spewing fuel everywhere. Shit. I have no clue. I have a whole nother carburetor from a parts motor, which is over here. It's my other machine. So I have a whole nother carburetor, this one, and I have already had that on this machine, and I had the same problems. I am absolutely dumbfounded. I don't even know where to begin. It's possible that the new needle and seat aren't doing their job. I suppose it's possible that the gasket between here and here is bad. This gasket. I don't know. That doesn't stop fuel from coming out of here though. This is wide open. You can see right down through there into the bowl. So, wow. Maybe the gasket that sits on top of this is supposed to block that off or something. I don't know. I'm gonna try that. Maybe that'll work. I don't know. Okay, so I have another hypothesis or a way to maybe let me know if the fuel pump is the problem. I know that if I take away the vacuum on the fuel pump, it shouldn't be able to pump any more fuel. There is fuel in the bowl and it should run from that. So by that rationale, if I am not pumping in fuel and this fuel continues to piss out of here, I'm hoping that, well, there's nothing going on with these gaskets in here. If that does solve the problem, then it's got something to do with this fuel pump pressurizing this chamber like I thought. I think. I don't know. Let's see what happens. Scared me there. It ran out of fuel. Huh. Scared me a little there. So I guess we ran out of fuel. It's a lot of fuel. And the bowl's full. That's very interesting. What happens if I hook the fuel pump back up? See the fuel jumping around down here in the filter. I'm trying choking it manually here. Boy, we're getting fuel. Okay. What the heck? So when I didn't have the fuel pump on, so when I pulled the vacuum out of it, I'm basically shutting up the fuel pump. It worked fine. Plug the fuel pump back in, and pretty soon it doesn't like it. That means either the needle and seat still aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing, or the fuel pump's got too much pressure. That thing doesn't have very much pressure. Jeez, what a quandary. Alright, so we got the 4 bolts out there, and pull this out again. Here's the new brass float. If anything, it might be set a little high, but I don't know if this gasket is the culprit or what. But there's that hole, you can see right through it. And oh, the float's in the way, but that hole right there is the hole that it comes out of. So even if this gasket was bad, let's say, it doesn't matter. There's a big ass hole right there. It just pours right out of there. So fuel from the fuel pump comes up out of here, fills up the bowl, and fuel goes, that hole there lines up with that hole there. So I don't know, maybe if this seal isn't good enough. That's a thought, actually. If this seal here, if this float shuts off the fuel and it's doing its job, but this seal, which goes around here, is defective, then the fuel could continue to pump out into the bowl and pressurize the bowl. Oh, I see, said the blind man. That's a possibility, right? I mean, it is probably 30 years old. That's true. If that seal is no good, it would just piss away. I may not even need it in this new needle and seat. Maybe what I need is a new gasket here. It wouldn't hurt to have a new gasket. Here we go again. Buy more parts. Jeez. Well, I've gone this far. That's like a $5 or something like that for that gasket. I could try the gasket from the other one, I guess, but I don't know how much better that one's going to be. I've had both tops on here, so with different gaskets, so I can't see where one is going to be any different than the other. Son of a